Hi, my name is Jonah and I'm gonna give you a short introduction on how to get started with Arcadia, which is enabling you to use Clojure inside Unity. First of all, we create a new Unity project. Just call it whatever. Get started Arcadia. Create the project, and while this starts showing on my slow computer, we're gonna copy the link to the Arcadia GitHub repository, and then we go to the folder, get started with Arcadia, assets, and here we clone the Arcadia project. Sadly, my internet is as slow as my computer, so we're gonna have to sit and wait for a while. Arcadia still isn't on the Unity asset store, but I believe it will in the future, but it's currently in beta. How do I English? So you'll have to download it the old-fashioned way. Now Arcadia's down, so we're just gonna wait for Unity to do its thing. In the meantime, we can copy the configuration. There's a default configuration in the Arcadia folder called configuration.edn. So we can copy this and put it in the assets directory, like this. So now in your assets, let's see, assets directory, we have a configuration.edn, and in this file we have a lot of options, but the one I want to enable is the reload on change. This makes it so that whenever you edit one of your namespaces, it will automatically reload in Arcadia. Either way, now Unity has started. For some reason Arcadia doesn't show up here. Maybe I copied it to the wrong folder. Yeah, I put it in the root directory. You have to put it in your assets directory instead. But before that, I might as well go to, in Unity we have to change the compatibility settings. So we go to project settings, player, and then down here we change API compatibility level to net4.x, and I think we have to restart Unity afterwards, so let's do that as well. And now we start it again, and in the meantime I copy Arcadia, or rather I move it to the assets folder instead. If you do copy Arcadia to the assets folder, like I told you to, before you change the compatibility level, you will get an error about util.cs. But if you just fix the compatibility level and then restart Unity, the error should disappear. Come on, Unity. I think it might be importing the scripts. Basically, Arcadia is just a bunch of DLL files and some C# files, so the first time you import them into Unity, it takes some time to compile them. Now something happens. Okay, there we go. Now here we see that we get an Arcadia menu toolbar, and we get the nREPL starting, which is great. In the background we also have the socket REPL starting, so if your favorite editor uses the socket REPL to integrate with Clojure, that's available as well on port 37220, so just add on 0. Now first of all we want to AOT compile Arcadia. This will make the startup faster, otherwise it will compile the Arcadia Clojure files every time we click play. So basically now it has compiled the Arcadia C# files, and it's bundled with some DLLs, but Arcadia also contains some libraries for when you're writing your Clojure code, and normally that gets compiled when you click play, but if you want to save some time in the future, you can click AOT compile and it will generate some DLLs for the Clojure code as well. So just to show you, we can now connect to the REPL. I use miracle mode, so I invoke miracle. And here we can run our standard Clojure code just like usual. We also have some Arcadia commands. I'll give a link to the API documentation for Arcadia, but we have, for example, log, which will print messages in the unit debug window. If you use Miracle, you can also go to definition, so you can see the source code, and in this case we can see this is a C# interop, so we see that log in fact just calls debug.log, and a lot of Arcadia's standard library is wrappers around Unity stuff, but in how to put it, the most important parts are actually additions, which makes Unity really pleasant to use from Clojure. Either way, now we're ready to try creating something a bit more interactive. So we click play, and I'm gonna have to reconnect the REPL. Whenever you click play, the virtual machine that runs the .NET stuff restarts, as far as I know, and that makes Arcadia restart as well. So you need to connect to the REPL again. Now we're in play mode, so we can, for example, create a cube, create primitive, cube. We might as well do this by right-clicking here and create objects as normal, but I wanted to show some Arcadia functions. So now we have our cube, and we could move our cube. So if we import unity engine.vector3, now we can create vectors, and this makes it possible to set the position of the cube. Oh, I forgot to make a I'm gonna delete the cube. I'm gonna create primitive cube and put it like this. So now we have a variable pointing to the cube, and now we can do, for example, set c transform position, and then create a vector3 like this. So now we see the cube move there. If you want to put this in a file instead of doing everything from the REPL, which I hope you don't want to, you can create a folder, which would be the namespace root, and then a file. You can nest deeper if you want to, but I usually start with game.core. So we write namespace game.core, and here we require arcadia.core all, and we can also import Unity engine vector 3, and here we can do I'm just gonna delete the cube. Now I think since I activated reload on change in the configuration file, if I save this, oh no, I need to run this once. I need to load the namespace in the REPL. Now whenever I save this, it will reload the file and run all the code. So now since I have def1 a cube here, we will always have a cube. So now we could define a function that takes a game object and a vector, or maybe a vector 3. And we could do something like this. We want to set the game object's position to we need to add two vectors, and then we use another Arcadia library called Arcadia linear SL. So we do with v3 plus go transform position and v3. There we go. Now we can call move C as the game object, and then we can create the offset vector. So if we want to move to the left, or I guess this was to the right, we can run move on this game object. This I think is pretty cool. We can also do something like this if we want to define offset vector 3. A really cool thing with Arcadia that I won't go super in depth into is that you can add so-called hooks to game objects. So we add a hook to C, and we want to add it to the update hook. So every time Unity calls update, we can call a function, and we could maybe call a function def move. So we want on every update we add a hook with the name move, and that should call def move. And def move hooks have the game object as the first parameter and then the name. So in this case it would be move, but I don't care about the label. So we can just call move, go, and the offset. I guess we didn't need to def this like this. We could just do a let binding instead. This should do it. Now I think the cube should start moving. Yeah, so now it's moving thanks to the hook. And if we change, I mean, this hook is already added. Now if we comment it out, it won't get added again. But still, since this is a var, if we change this function, for example, we want it to go to the left instead. As soon as we save, it starts going to the left instead. And this is one of many things I love about Arcadia. It's so interactive. You can create tons of cool stuff with this. And Arcadia has many things that acts this way. It has hooks and it has roles, which is basically hooks with state as well. So for example, maybe you want to create a role which adds movement, and maybe you want a default speed, but you also want to be able to change the speed for different characters, or maybe depending on if they're stunned or whatever. then you have a lot of possibilities with roles. But I can't go into that right now, so I think you should try what I did in this video, and then you should go to the Arcadia GitHub page. I'll put a link in the description, and then you click on, first of all you should go to the gitter here. Here we will help you if you have questions, but you should also go to the wiki and read through whatever piques your interest. For example, using Arcadia is a great place to start. Here they describe the thoughts about roles and hooks and state and so on. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope this was interesting. Have a nice day. Bye.